Monk mode. Initially coined by Iman Ghadzi, the term has ever since blown up. If you search it, your favorite self-improvement creator has likely done a video on it. Now, there is a problem with monk mode, and we're gonna get to it, but before that, what is monk mode? So if you've never heard of it, it's a period from 3 weeks to 3 months, up for you to decide, where essentially every day you're gonna meditate, you're gonna work out for at least 30 minutes, you're not gonna consume any drugs, any alcohol, and then there's other things you can add as well. That is the core. So you can add, for example, no caffeine, you can do journaling every day, praying every day, removing stuff as well like porn, video games, all these things that we know that often are not the best for us. Now, the goal of it is to get you to live in a more focused, a more disciplined, a more productive way, allowing you and giving you the time and all these qualities to pursue what really matters to you, what's important to you. Now, I quite like and recommend monk mode, and even though there is a problem with it that we're going to talk about, today we're going to cover obviously the good, the bad, and what to do as an alternative, and most importantly, what to do after monk mode is over. Let's get into it. Now, the main problem I have with monk mode is not the protocol itself or the habits, any of these things. These are great. The problem I have with it are those that practice it. Essentially, you are the problem. Because most guys go ahead and do it for 3 weeks to 3 months, and in this time they find themselves much more focused, more disciplined, making much more progress, and overall improving their lives. Because in this period they feel like there's no excuse. They're in monk mode, quote unquote. But after it's over, a lot of times they can say to themselves, okay, I wouldn't do this usually if I was still in the protocol, but now I'm off of it, so I can go ahead and drink a little bit and play the video games and watch the porn and do all these things. And then what ends up happening for a lot of people is that you end up going back down the rabbit hole once again. You start just doing it once, but once turns into twice, turns into, every other day, that turns into every day, and then here you are again. It's like you went in over this great period, as we talked about, to focus and discipline, only to go back to the opposite once it's done. And all of these problems have one thing in common, being that they assume that if you are to just go on these sprints and on these, very fast-paced, 3 weeks to 3 months, that everything would be solved. And then you could go ahead and just sit back, relax, and enjoy the fruits of your labor. And this might be true for someone that has more leverage already. Like, for example, Iman that did the original one, he has much more leverage than you. He has companies, he has more money. So when he does put that effort in and when he goes faster, he can track measurably by certain KPIs of what is improving and why it is improving. But if you don't have that much going on, it's like, if you're, going over the most drastic, if you're broke, overweight, and all these problems, what you're going to be doing is you're just setting the foundation. Even if you do it for 3 months, you're just at the beginning. And that is why you need to have a plan for what comes after. And here's where I want to present to you a different protocol, a protocol for what comes after. This is none other than the mens sana in corpore sano protocol. Or, translated to English, a sound mind in a sound body. Now, this is a term that dates back thousands of years, likely to the beginning of civilization in ancient Greece, where, if you know nothing about it, they put equal focus on sharpening your mind as they did on strengthening your body. As the saying goes, a sound mind in a sound body. It is quite funny because when you look at ancient Greece and a lot of their philosophers, a lot of what they wrote about, even if it's just small quotes like Socrates, Plato, you'll find that a lot of the advice we're rediscovering nowadays and that we're looking at it and changing our lives based on, they already knew, they already wrote about it. In a lot of ways, the modern self-improvement is all founded on what Plato already wrote. And crucially, as we're talking about here already, they put equal focus on developing your mind and intellectual pursuits as they did on your body and your physique and your fitness. You look at their statues and it becomes quite apparent. And the beauty of it is that they didn't look at it as a 3 week to 3 month sprint. And, it has its place, monk mode, but how the Greeks looked at it and how a lot of these philosophers looked at it is not to be done in a week, in a day, in a month. It is to be done as a life pursuit, meant to be done every single day. And while monk mode has its place, definitely, especially for periods where you want to go faster and stronger and really own in on just this one pursuit, it is not to be done all the time. But if after you transition from that, you have a more sustainable approach, an approach that is to be done every day and doesn't allow you to then succumb to the same things that made you try monk mode in the first place, then this is for you. Because it allows you to maintain sustainable progress over the months where just maybe just more working or more enjoying and more just living life. And then when you decide, okay, now I'm gonna go strong, you can go and push that pace. But you never, once again, you never fall back to where you started. With that said, the important question here becomes, what is the protocol and how can you reap the rewards from it? How can you actually do these practices for your mind and for your body every single day in a way that is consistent, in a way that is sustainable, and in a way that is also clear and practical? Let's get into it. Now, for this part, I'm going to suggest 3 different levels of difficulty, because I know some of you are more on the beginner side, some of you are intermediate, and some of you are more advanced as far as your focus, your discipline, and overall the amount of things that you can take on. So we're gonna do easy difficulty, medium difficulty, and hard difficulty. The way we're gonna do is that when you increase the difficulty, you still do all the ones from the previous level of difficulty. So when I say the medium one, it is assuming that you're going to be doing the ones we talk on the easy. When we talk about the hardest to do, also the ones from easy and from medium. So let's begin here with easy mode. Now we're going to keep it super simple. 1 habit for the mind, 1 habit for the body. Now for the mind, and this obviously takes from monk mode too, but this is just an ancient practice that has been done and suggested for thousands of years. Number 1 for the mind, meditation. And this I suggest daily. Just because it's the weekend, you should not skip on it. You should not allow yourself to take your foot off the gas as far as this goes. Now, what I recommend, 5 to 10 minutes every day. During the week, I suggest you do it before work. So in between you wake up and before you go to work, do it somewhere there. During the weekend, I suggest in between waking up and taking a shower. If you don't shower on the weekends or not right away in the morning, I suggest doing right as you wake up, just so you don't forget, just so you don't allow, excuses, or you don't allow yourself to accept excuses. Now for the body, what I suggest here is to work out 3 to 5 times per week. The easiest way is just to go to the gym. 3 I say as the minimum, and 5, it doesn't mean that you only need to do 5 if you want to do more, but it's a good range, not too difficult, especially if your schedule is somewhat consistent. You're always going to be able to find time. And even if your schedule is less consistent, and let's say Mondays are super busy and Thursdays are also super busy, if you go 3 times, it allows you to, push some things back if need be, to do them ahead of time if they need be. And there should really be no excuse, no matter how busy you are, that you can't meditate, let's say 5 minutes per day, and go to the gym 3 times per week. If you don't have time, let's say you don't have time or you don't want to because you chose how you spend your time, then you really got to reconsider, in my opinion, what you're doing. Because you're not just your mind, you're not just work, because you need your body still. And if you're just going to neglect that, it's a matter of time before things collapse. Now, the reason why these are the first 2 is that meditation is just a fundamental practice to give you focus, to give you awareness, and overall to bring you to the present moment. In a world of increasingly fast distractions, TikTok, Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts, all these things, there's no superpower like being able to control your focus. So that's number 1. And then number 2, exercise, because it is just the fundamental way to take care of our bodies. Coffee break. Medium difficulty. Obviously, like we talked about, you're going to maintain still these 2 habits, but then you're going to add 1 more habit for each. So 1 for the mind, 1 for the body. For the mind, what you're going to be doing is journaling. And the journaling that I want you to do here is at the end of the day. And what you're going to be doing is you're going to be reviewing the day. So you're just going to, and you can do this in like a bullet point form. It doesn't need to be super extensive, but you're just going to write, what went well, why did it go well? Was I super consistent? Was I super focused? And what led to these good things? Then you're going to write what went wrong and why did it go wrong? So did I lack discipline? Did I feel more tired than I'd like? Did I skip on some things? Was I rude to a person I shouldn't have been rude? What are these things and what do I think led to me doing them? These wrong things. Then after this, you're going to ask yourself, how can I improve on these wrongs? Or how can I remove these wrong things? How can I stop doing them or fix it, depending on what it is? And you're just going to write solutions for these. If I wasn't too consistent today, well, and you know why it led to that. Maybe I forgot, maybe it wasn't clear enough. Okay, maybe you need to make it more aware. You need to break it down more, make it more clear. You're just gonna write the solutions, and then also you should schedule these solutions. And then the final question, and this, the first time you're gonna do it, you can't answer that, but as you do it, you should be able to, which is, was there any of the solutions that I wrote yesterday that I didn't implement? And what can I do to change that if I didn't implement? Because a lot of times it's easy to write solutions and then not follow through on them. You're like, yeah, I should do that and that and that. And then you forget. And then you're like, one day I'll do it. But you never do. So this gives you, it's one extra level of accountability. And the reason why this is so important is because it's one of the key habits to lead to consistent progress, is looking at what you did and improving upon it, to become aware of your efforts, become aware of your shortcomings and how you can correct them. Seneca was very famous for doing this, and he writes a lot about this. And again, a practice that dates back many thousands of years. And one more reason to do it, it has withstood the test of time. Now, for your body, the second habit that I recommend here, on top of going to the gym 3 to 5 times per week, is to include at least one day of cardio. And what I recommend is to do a hike. If you work 9 to 5 Monday through Friday, or not, on the weekend, go for a hike. One that is not too easy, one that it actually pushes you a bit outside of your comfort zone as far as cardio goes. Many reasons for this. So number one, it improves your physique, your fitness, because it's not all about getting muscles. Your cardiovascular system is absolutely crucial to develop, to make you live longer and better. So that is number one. Second of all, you're gonna be in nature. Ideally, don't take your phone. Don't, or just take it, but don't go in it just for any emergency call you need, because it allows you to step away from all these distractions, to be in nature, to actually enjoy and feel the sun and actually truly, properly relax as well. Then you can invite some friends or your family and actually have a great time out of this activity. Because again, if we look at a sane mind in a sane body, it's the combination of everything. It's not just for you to push so hard all the time. It's also to properly rest. And in a lot of ways, even though you may think, but is a hike resting? Not for your body, but for your mind, absolutely. Because when you get home after that day, of getting sun, of talking with your friends, of just not going on electronics, you're going to feel absolutely fantastic. You're going to feel energized. You're going to feel ready to take on the next day. So this is medium difficulty. So now let's go to the hard level. Just a disclaimer for this last level is the intensity is increasing. It's getting very close to monk mode. So, no shame that if you cannot go to this level right away. And if, let's say, you begin here and you feel like it's too much, you can just take one step back and go to the medium, and if needed, go back to the easy. Now here we're not going to add anything for the body because there's no need to overtrain the body, and it would be just doing more damage than doing good. So we're going to add two things here for the mind. First thing, no social media or no phone before work and 30 minutes before bed. Before bed, I would suggest going as far as no electronics whatsoever. The reason for this is before work, so in the morning, is if you go right ahead and you start indulging in Instagram and TikTok, checking emails, starting, crowding your mind essentially, you're going to be drastically damaging your focus and your ability to just be with one thing at a time, because you're doing the opposite. You're just putting so many inputs in your mind that then when you try to go just to one, it's impossible. And as such, before work, no social media whatsoever. Maybe you need to go to the phone for just to turn off the alarm, for example, but there should be no reason why you need to go to your phone before you start working. So that is the reason number one. And then the reason to not do it 30 minutes before bed, and not only phone, but not even looking at screens, is it's just going to allow you to rest much better. Because the last thing you want is when you lay down, head on the pillow, is to be thinking about those memes you saw and about this conversation, about the stress of tomorrow. You just want to rest. because you thinking more about these things is not going to help you sleep or solving them at all. So this is the first thing for the mind. And then the second one, maybe even more difficult, is to completely remove an addiction or a bad habit that you know you shouldn't do, but you still indulge in it. Could be porn, could be video games, could be excessive YouTube use, it could be, you know what it is. Like when I said bad habit, you clearly know what is the thing that you do more than you should. And so what you're going to be doing is completely removing that. Now, once again, if you look at everything that you're adding at this point, it is hard, as the difficulty level says. So no shame if it's too much for you to do, especially coming from a monk mode. I just put 3 difficulty levels because some people, if I just said the easy one or the medium, would be, oh, but that's too easy. Like, what is the point of doing that? So this way you have 3 levels. Whatever you can be consistent with, choose that. And what this is going to allow you to do is, let's say you begin with the monk mode, you build all this momentum, and then you transition to a period where, you know, it's easier, but it's not, you don't give up completely, and allows you to focus on other things. And then when you're ready, once again, to go stronger, to go faster, you can transition back to monk mode. And then when you finish, you transition back to this. And this way, what you ensure is that you're not going in these super high peaks, but then super low valleys as well. It's more you go in the peak and then you come back and you slowly progress, but you don't go as down. And when you're going easier, you're still progressing along the way. Now, I want to finish by saying that if you have begun already and you're doing all these things, fantastic, congratulations. If you're not, begin. The sooner you begin, the sooner you'll start seeing results. But the main thing that you have to keep in mind is that you're looking to do these things forever. There's never going to get to a point until you're perhaps super old that you're going to stop working out and taking care of your body or stop taking care of your mind. These are things that ideally you want to do until you can't do them anymore. And as such, remember that you don't want to sacrifice the long term for a shorter term increase in pace and to go super fast in the beginning, but then give up and not be able to maintain that. Remember, you got to focus on the long term. Yes, you have to push, but don't sacrifice the long term for the short term. Any questions you have about any of this, drop them below in the comments. I'll answer as many as I can, and I'll see you on the next video.